This is Defying the Odds. It's episode 5. Don't go away. You don't want to miss this.
I'm moving. I'm going. I can't stop. I got motion. I'm moving. I'm going. Can't lose focus. I got motion. I'm moving. I'm going.
Red Corner Boxing. We're in the game.
Yes, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Red Corner Boxing. We're proudly sponsored by Z Stories and Boxing Fight Zone. It's episode 5, Defy the Odds. Mr. Neutral, my man, the boxing man, as we go over Britain's heroes in Defy the Odds on their journeys to stardom and Hall of Fame type love. Brett, you've picked an absolute cracker once again. Carl Froch versus Lucian Bute. 5-year IBF champion, unbeaten. Very much a hard-hitting Canadian Romanian. And again, fancied even on away ground to take Carl Froch to the cleaners.
Yeah.
A lot of media and that boxing fans and pundits alike were, on the Canadian side due to the fact that Carl Froch had lost to Andre Ward the previous fight.
Yeah, I mean, going into this fight, to be honest, mate, it's a typical British media narrative, isn't it? Froch had been slightly embarrassed by what seemingly is going to go down as one of, well, whether you like his style or not, let's not get into that. Whether you like Andre Ward's style, Andre Ward will go down as one of the greats. He didn't have any answers for Ward. So the typical narrative was that Froch was finished, and he was going in with a killer that had 30 fights, won 30, and I do believe he had 24 knockouts going in. So, going into even though it was on home soil, it was a shit or bust fight for Cole.
Yeah, absolutely. As part of this Super 6 series that he had been invited to. I mean, I remember going back and thinking back at the time how as WBC champion, knowing the risks involved in just going through the channels to get to the final, his belt would be on the line in every fight.
Yeah.
And I often wondered, that was such a gamble, especially after winning that vacant belt off Michael Abraham.
Let's have it right, mate. To all of those fighters that were in the Super 6, I know they did it again with the Smith and Eubank and Groves one. But if you think about it, it was never done at this magnitude again, was it? It's never been repeated again. These were all serious fighters, and to think that you had Kessler and Ward and Durrell. Look what Durrell went on to do after this. All those fighters. This was, like you said, this took real courage to be involved in that Super 6 prior to this.
Yeah, absolutely. We covered the Jermaine Taylor defying the odds when he went over to Mashan Tuckett and did the business, against Jermaine Taylor. And he was just starting to make his name for himself. He defended against Andre Durrell. Then that Mikkel Kessler defeat, which, some would say that was pretty harsh.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought it was a draw myself, I'm very shocked at the 117-111 score by one of the judges. But, he because Kessler, after that fight, got a damaged eye, Froch got a lifeline.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, because that is a massive moment in Carl Froch's, ambitions to becoming a 3-time world champion.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it was like you just said there, and the way he had his career, he probably deserved a lifeline. To be honest, not that no fighters that put their bodies on the line deserve a bit of luck, but that was a real bit of fortune that enabled him to go on and have the fights that he had. And obviously we won't get there today, but further down the line, the nice thing is he does actually get to avenge that lifeline and win it back in the ring. So that's why no one talks really about that lifeline. It's really good from you that you brought that out, because even I, as a fan, I forgot that he had that lifeline, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it struck me today in further research that when Kessler had fought that fight, that he had to vacate his title because of that injury.
Yeah.
And it struck me, if that had not happened, this fight wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Maybe the Arthur Abraham fight wouldn't have happened either. So it just goes to show you how something can change the course of history. Now, look, that's not, Carl Froch's problem, is it? Now, let's talk about, how he come into this fight off the back of that loss to Andre Ward, comes back home to Nottingham, your home ground.
Yeah.
And again, he is the underdog. Isn't it mad looking back how many times Carl Froch has been an underdog in these fights? And on hindsight, how stupid that was.
Well, the thing is with Froch, you can never ever write this man off, can you? That's the difference. And I'm not saying that we can get all analytical about, well, you can never write any fighter off. Everyone's got a puncher's chance. But he is so determined as a fighter. Even when he's in thick, he's so determined. And I think that when you look, and even looking at this one, we're going to analyze this one, which is, even having the banter online, people love this fight. A lot of people remember this fight and the way he did it. His skill set's limited in this. He's doing, I'm telling you, when we go back and watch the highlights, he's doing things in the gym that the boxing coach would absolutely nail you for. But what he's doing is he's standing 10 toes down and saying, let's have a fight. Let's have it right out right now. Because the only way I'm leaving this ring is by knocking you out or getting knocked out. And that's why people love this one. Yeah.
I remember seeing a wee documentary on Carl Froch. And he's at home. It's at home with Carl Froch. And he's doing, he's talking about visualizing the fight. Slipping through this, few jabs, come out behind with a big right hand, and does absolutely nothing like that in the ring. And I was laughing my head off, thinking, Carl, that is amazing. When he gets in that ring, like you said, a switch goes off in him. That bookies, media, away fans, and general hardcore pundits like ourselves don't take for granted when we're thinking about how to analyze these fights. And on hindsight, it's like, oh, that should have been the other way around, really. Now, Lucian Bute, as you said, unbeaten, 10 defenses of his title, 5 years, knocking out some really good names along the way. For that time, 13 years ago, 14 years ago, John Paul, Mendy, Brian McGee, Jesse Brinkley, these were all really good fighters. I go back to Zunica, Librado Andrade, remember him? William Joppy. I mean, he was dropping all kinds of guys, and like you said, the bookies were thinking, this southpaw with that big left hand, he was going to take this fight. The chin of Froch was not going to take it. And you're scratching your head like this, thinking, do they know Carl Froch and that chin? Let's talk about that chin.
They're going, just before we talk about that granite piece of work there. because the Brits usually, because they want to get a bit of poundage out of us to have a little flutter, they very often favour their own a little bit. But this is how fancied he was. Bute was 1-2. Carl was 7-4. That shows you that on paper, this is a defying the odds fight. And the thing that we've got is we probably all struggle to have a conversation about Carl Froch defying the odds. Just because we always, the ones that know that he's going to dig down, he's going to bite down on the gum shield, he's going to find that one bomb that's going to stun somebody, and that he's going to jump all over him. But the bottom line is he was in thick in this fight. Very, very, very thick.
He has a remarkable self-belief in his punching ability. Forever the underdog, as you said. He's always had to fight, whether it's for titles, whether it's to get big fights. I remember him under Mick Hennessy, not getting some of the fights that he had wanted, and then Eddie comes along and opens the floodgates. But it's that kill switch that he's got that people don't take into account. And coming off a unanimous decision loss, for me, was not going to mentally bring down the empire that is Carl Froch's, mentality going into this Lucian Bute fight on home ground in front of a packed arena. It beggars belief now that we can even be talking about Carl Froch as an underdog at home. But such was the reputation, wasn't it?
But think about it, mate. Before we roll a tape, like he's in the brains of the public, right? The times that he stepped up to the top boys prior to this, he's lost.
Yeah,
right. He's lost the two times he's gone to the top, very, very top table. He's lost with those big killers. And so you bring him now into the Bute fight, and everyone's thinking, well, this guy, like Jams keeps saying, number one at the time, 30 fights, 30 wins. Everyone's, because I remember it differently. I remember whether the media at the time had brainwashed me. I remember going into it absolutely shit scared for him. I was like, is he done? Is he done? And you've only got to look at Eddie jumping in the ring towards the end of this fight. Hopefully that's on the tape before the fight's done. That Eddie was nervous as well. Eddie was just starting to be a bit of a player in the game, and he'd done a bit of his dough on Carl, right? He'd done a bit of dough on him. He'd done a bit of dough on Cal, and he was just starting to get there.
Certainly was. Look, well, let's get a look at this fight now. It's Carl Froch, Lucian Bute, 26th of May 2012, and it's a hell of a fight, Now, before we roll the tape, as you were saying, you were very worried about Carl Froch's chances here. I did remember the place was on tenterhooks as soon as Carl Froch, but as soon as Carl Froch entered the arena, place went off.
Yeah,
and it's sort of the equilibrium come back. Let's roll the tape, James.
You receive the instructions in the dressing room. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourselves at all times. Touch them up, go to your corner.
All set to go. You've heard all the talk and all the build-up to this fight.
Here we go. Round one.
Has Bute as number one in the world, even above Andre Wolf, with a big, snappy jab. And a
that's mad that Bute was ranked above Ward.
Looks very focused, Carlo, didn't he?
Is interesting here.
Yes, a lot of head movement from Bute, but Carl was just having none of this reputation business, this nonsense. He's come to fight. And I think that southpaw style sort of suited Carl.
Again, good work from Froch.
Yeah. It's like they always say though, isn't it, mate? He got wet a few times, didn't he? He got counted a few times.
He did. That first round in particular, there was 2 or 3 occasions he got counted. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching first time, go back and watch the full fight. This is obviously just the highlights. But I give Froch the first 2 rounds based on just sheer output.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the combinations were outstanding.
A lot of good accuracy. My fellow countryman there getting excited. I didn't think Bute was hurt at that point because he was still quite good movement.
Yeah, he's not fully stunned at this part.
No. Here we go, round 3. This is a big round for me. Nice use of that jab. Oh, here we go. He's hurting here.
He really hurts.
Oh, some beautiful punches there in round 3. He's holding on. And he knows he's hurting in there, Carl. And now the crowd, you can hear every connected punch. They were roaring.
You know they're in trouble when they take their own mouthpiece out on the way back to the corner.
Yes, that's a big sign. Round 4. It seemed to me that Carl took his sort of, he was looking for that killer punch in round 4.
He looks beat, doesn't he, Bute?
He does look beat, but it was the last sort of 30 seconds of the rounds, the previous round and this round, that he was turning it on. He sort of ran out of time. I see the bell went there when he was in the middle of a flurry. But the speed of Froch is frightening in this fight. Here we go, round 5. The combinations, the accuracy. Here we go. Oh, it's a beautiful knockout. He hangs in the ring. He thinks it's all over. The commentators think, oh, wait a minute, Eddie, what are you doing? And then it's over. He'd done it. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. A lady, I'm only joking, 3 times the champ. That's how defied the odds. 3 times. 3 times.
Absolutely.
Ridiculous notion to think of that these days, that Carl Froch defied the odds 3 times to win a belt.
Absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely was brilliant. I can only imagine the people there. My goodness, the hackles and the heebie-jeebies would have been going all over them. A great performance. What a performance!
Think about it, mate. The 100%. When we've been doing this Defying the Odds series, when they do defy the odds, if it's on home soil, the way that the crowd, because of the tension in the crowd, the way that the atmosphere, like when we did Bruno, the atmosphere, do you know what I mean? Like it's just, when we did Hatton, the atmosphere is because
electric.
They're getting a sense that they've just watched something special. And what we watched there was something special. To beat a fighter that had 30 fights, 30 wins, 24 knockouts, and was arguably considered number 1 at the time, to beat them in 5 rounds in the manner that he did was absolutely outstanding. And for one of the big reasons, you look at his career, he'd have a fight with anybody. He'll have a fight with somebody else that we're probably going to talk about in a minute if you want to talk about it. But he will have a fight with absolutely anybody, but he's time and time again why he's a British boxing legend and why he's a boxing Hall of Famer.
Absolutely, very well put. And we will be talking about his other fights, because I believe in my heart of hearts he ended Lucian Bute's, not only his mystique about his unbeatenness, but he didn't go on to accomplish what he wanted after that. Bute had 4 other defeats after that in 7 fights and called it a day because he was done. after Carl Froch. Jean Pascal, UD'd him. James DeGale, UD'd him as well. And he was given multiple, because of his IBF retention of the belt for so many years. The IBF, given shot after shot, Lucian Bute, but he was done. Carl Froch ended him. Baddy Jack, that was the fight where, because Bute popped Frostering. Right. He was that desperate to get back to winning ways, and Baddy Jack was awarded the win.
But even this, isn't it interesting, mate? Like when we're looking, because now obviously 5th episode in and just going back, same was said. We had the same thing when we Calzaghe did what he did to Lacey, right? He was never the same fighter after that. Tszyu was done. Like these British fighters that defy the odds, it's fair to say the only one of the series that went on to do something very remarkable after would have been Porter, based off our series so far. And so this really sums up. If anybody's new to the series, go back and watch some of the previous episodes, because we're just reliving unbelievable moments in British boxing history.
And it's these defining moments, as we talked about in all these episodes, that when British boxers had more or less career-ending victories over these fantastic champions that they fought. Tim Tszyu, never the same again.
Yeah.
Sean Porter, as you mentioned, wasn't the same again until he had a resurgence.
Yeah.
Lucian Bute, done. And there's others we're going to come and pick out of our series that we're going to show. And we're going to show you the common denominator known as British grit. As soon as you go to war with a Brit, my God, you better come prepared mentally as well as conditionally, physically, because if you're going to go home broken in more ways than one.
And also the nation is coming with. We are coming with you. Wherever you go, we go, and we're with you.
The army comes right behind and in front, in the vanguard. They're there before the boxers. Yes, fight week, they're there. The vanguard, front lines, battling. If you've ever been to one of them events as a fan abroad, you're a proud man walking through them streets of the United States.
Yeah.
Because the British Army are here.
Yeah.
And they part the waves. Oh, it's a beautiful sight. And it's a spine-tingling moment. Now, while we're on the subject of Carl Froch, was there anything else you wanted to talk about as a result of this fight?
No, I just want to say, obviously, before we move on to the part 2 of this episode, I just want to say this is obviously the second time that we've featured Carl, and it may not be the last when you go back and look at his career. But it's not just me being proud from being from the same area. It's just I'm just proud of when I look back and have conversations on any channel with anybody from across this side, where I am, this side of the pond, or your side of the pond, where I am now. No one really has a bad word to say about Carl Froch. No one. They know what he was, and what he was is a born fighter. You put him in the middle of the ring. He's not going to try and be fancy. He's not going to hit you with jab, spin, slip, roll around and hit you from the corner. He's going to stand in the pocket, and he's going to put his hands behind his side, and he's going to say, "Best man wins." And that's the only way he knew how to do it. That's not to say that Carl didn't have a skill set, because if you listen to the GB setup, they'll tell you Carl definitely had a skill set. But one thing that he had is that sometimes with these fighters, you can't teach it him. He knew how to come back from a setback, and he proved that time and time again. And like I say, we'll forever, as British boxing fans, be in awe of what he was as a fighter.
Well said. And, you're quite correct. He wouldn't have had a world junior bronze medal if it wasn't for a skill set in the amateur game. You have to win with skills to win them rounds. Yes, he just chose not to. This was the man. If and he'll admit it when he's shooting from the hip with not only his lead hand but his right hand as well. And that was his style, his way of entertaining. And boy, was it entertaining. It was entertaining to the point where it was beautiful to watch when he was winning. But when he was under pressure, you're like, defend, defend, defend. But, that was such what he brought to the table, what he brought to the fans. 3-time champion. And this is just at this point. We're only at 2012.
Yeah.
Life goes on. And we will pick up another Carl Froch fight. But he definitely is a jewel in the crown of many, many jewels that makes up the British crown of boxing. And we will get all these jewels around until we get to what the centerpiece. Let's talk about part 2 now. And we've got a couple of videos to show the people, but unless you've been living under a rock, the press conferences this week with Carl, with Lee Wood and Fury and Makhmedov, it's gone a bit funny with John Fury and Carl Froch. Give us a rough background what's happened. And then we're going to show you some videos, guys.
Yeah, obviously, all you've got to do is if you're a boxing fan on X, then you will have followed all of these clips very, very closely. Tyson has announced his comeback in a good fight against Makhmedov. I think it's very, very well matchmaked. I don't know about you. I think it's brilliant matchmaking. Yeah. I think Tyson's going to box his head off. He's going to make it look very, very glamorous for the Netflix audience. I think Tyson's going to look an absolute $1 million, which is what I'm very interested in. And all the banter that I have on X, if anybody does follow me with the Tyson banter, I will never say that Tyson Fury is not a very, very good fighter. He's an absolutely fabulous fighter. A lot of my beef stems from the circus that sometimes comes with it, retiring 5 times when we know that he's at his prime, when we know that if he really stuck his test to it, he could have a third go at Usyk. He could have a third go at Usyk. Why not? Why not? He's done trilogies a lot in his career. So we're all interested in that, but we don't even get to that before it's detracted away from the fight, because while the crew are setting up to cover the fight, Carl Froch is making his Netflix debut, and John Fury, as he's done many, many times before, because I do think he has an inferior complex to his son becoming world champion, and he can't just let his son, which any proud father would want to lift their son up and just look in awe of them. Unfortunately for this father, we have a very, very difficulty that on presser week, fight week, he has to make an absolute scene of himself. And boy, did he make a scene of himself. Jams, roll the tape.
Run like a fucking bitch, Carl. Run like a fucking bitch. Where the fuck are you? Hey? The world's been calling me a fucking shithead. You know me, Alex. You know I'm no fucking coward. I was gonna fight you in your fucking head. Wasn't it true? Did I back away from you? That's right. Now put some fucking respect in the country. And get that fucking Carl Froch. She wants you to fucking here. And everyone else is not here. You're not fucking me. You're not fucking me. Run like a fucking bitch. Run like a fucking bitch, Carl. Run like a fucking bitch.
That's quite the outburst. It was in tune to the music. I almost thought it was a track then. Run like a. Anyway, What triggered that?
Maybe Jams can mix a tape, and that can be a thing. Jams, maybe you can, with your producer skills, we can.
Yeah, make a meme, Jams. Make a meme out of that.
We can have a song.
We can have a number one. What set that off? I don't understand where he went from 0 to 100 mile an hour.
It's got no class. Look, I mean, you'll have to shut me up if I say too much. Jams, cut me off, shut me up, because I've got the ump. I've got the ump because he's got no.
Yeah,
class.
speak, man.
He's got no class because let me tell you why. I didn't mind it when he was doing it with his son that can't fight, Tommy. When he was doing it at the Misfits, when he's headbutting walls and he's doing all that. But when you're doing it in the real professional game, the actual game, right? And he's headbutting U6 teams. He didn't pick on one of the big ones, by the way. He picked on the smallest one. And then when he's walking round to Steve Bunce is wild. He's almost like the Robbie Savage of boxing punditry. But he's a great man. When anybody says anything about him, he walks up to Steve Bunce and tells him he's going to headbutt him and bite his nose off. I mean, what are we talking about here? I'll be honest. I want him cancelled, not cancelled doing the cancelling culture. I don't think he should be allowed at press conferences if he can't behave himself. Now, at the end of the day, fighters are getting in the ring. If they get the ump because they're starving themselves, they're making weight, or there's been some things said in the press and you're standing there looking at a man, if they start pushing and pulling and slapping and grabbing, you can understand it a little bit, right? Because they're about to go to war. For a 60-year-old man that could potentially have an heart attack with the way he's carrying on, to talk about a Hall of Fame fighter in that way, just because he's giving his opinion on him, that's not a real man. That's not a real man. That's done for cameras. And you know what it's got out of it? It's got no promotion out of it for Tyson. I'm hearing Tyson Fury's got the ump about it, actually. What it has done is it's catapulted John Fury on the circus scene. So John will actually make some money out of this now. Whether they decide to have a fight, which has been talked about, John Fury has made money for himself with this Misfits world. But in terms of when we talk about real fight, I mean, imagine if Fury and Joshua ever get it on. Imagine that scene he's going to create. It'd just be outrageous.
Do you think that John Fury understands social media?
I think he does. I think because of Tommy and how Tommy's launched a career, because Tyson left him for a little bit, didn't he? And all he had was Tommy. And then he's seeing that Tommy's become this YouTube star. And so he's not stupid in that sense. At the end of the day, one thing I will say about John Fury is a hustler. He's hustled through his life, right? And he's seen a little bit of a way to make a bit of a pound note. You know, he plays. I switched off after one episode. The moment I saw him living in that caravan on Netflix, I went, F off. I won't swear. F off. I'm not watching it anymore. He don't live in that caravan. It's all for Netflix. He lives in a lovely little house that Tyson's bought him, right? You know, but what he's doing is he's playing on the scene of a gypsy fighting man. I don't know the stories. Maybe he is a gypsy fighting man. He says he's never been beat on the street. I don't know. You know, other people around those scenes. And if they have, whatever, fair play to him. I'm not saying that he can't protect his family and he's not a proud man. But a real proud man would not carry on like that. You know what they would do? They would walk up calmly to that booth and look up at Carl and say, Carl, you got 5 minutes after you finish speaking. I'd love to have a chat with you outside.
In the bathroom.
That cold stare. Carl, you got 5 minutes after you've done talking. Yeah. But instead, what we had to play, and it's like Simon Jordan says, we're all kicking off about it, but at the same time, we're all giving it loads of airtime because it is very, very, very car crash TV for boxing. But here's another point I'll say to you, mate, and I did say I have a bit of a rant here, so shut me down if you want. Have we opened ourselves up now because of this world of Jake Paul? Have we opened ourselves up to the car crash world? Are we now part of it? And we are is the answer, really, isn't it? We're all part of it.
Welcome to the Matrix.
Yeah.
Because, you know, whether you take the red pill or the blue pill, you know, if you take that red pill, you just drawn into it. And these took the red pill. John, for me, understands social media
Oh yeah.
because I seen a video of just before that where he's on the balcony with a couple of people,
It's
and
calm there, isn't it?
he's calm, and it seemed to me that he was picking his moment to manipulate a situation. There's one thing I understand about John Fury. He has done this sort of thing at every Tyson Fury or Tommy Fury fight.
Yeah.
He has caused mayhem and made it about him.
He
Whether
didn't do
it's
it with
take-
Dylan, he didn't do it with Dylan White's camp. You know why that is, don't you? Because Dylan White's camp's a bit naughty behind the scenes. So
Yes.
he didn't do it then, mate. He chooses when to do it. He chooses when to do it. And
because he knows the personnel that are around at that point. So for me, he had done that for a social media thing. I mean, look, John Fury brings views, unfortunately.
He does.
He's brought views to Red Corner Boxing. We've done a we've done a shot, and it's 450K.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous, such as the eyes on the guy at the minute, and we've identified that any Tyson Fury event always starts off with a precursor of John Fury. And you remember last time when he's headbutted one of Usyk's people and ended up with the cut forehead. I remember a time when he's ripped his shirt off in Riyadh. He's done these things.
Tried to get a Jake Paul. The one thing I said before Jan wants us to roll his response, but one thing I'll say is, said it today. David Hayes, a pundit, right? And David Hayes been around these things a long time. And David Hayes had his say about that family. Has he ever gone spitting and snarling at him? And the answer is no. And the thing is, you could maybe accept it if that's what he was as a person, just an absolute animal that'll have it with anybody. But he chooses when to have it. He's walking around there, and we've all seen the clips. Nobody of real note. That if he snarled, no, but think about it. If he snarled at somebody the wrong way, there was a real note. He didn't. It was all it was all people in the press game, which fine. I'm sure there's plenty of people that can handle themselves in the press game, but they're there for views. They're just following around with a camera. Buncey's there, nice and quiet. He snarled at Buncey. He's had a go at Lennox, but basically to get Lennox to give him a big up. It's just, this man. And I know he's come out and apologized now, which I'm not accepting. I said to a post on Darren's social media, I said, I hope Buncey's told him to F off, but apparently Buncey said, no problem, let's move on. But the reality is,
they've had a pain.
Yeah, the end of the day, mate, this won't be the last time, will it? So we'll see. But should we let the viewers see Carl's response to him?
Such a big loudmouth gobshite who's done all, living off his son's name. And it actually winds me up when I think about when he started on Carl Frampton, a good friend of mine, top pundit analyst, ex-world champion. He started on the smallest man in the room at the Usyk press conference, headbutted him. He had to go to Steve Bunce last week. He constantly does it. And then he stuck it on me. But you know what? I feel like I might be the chosen one. I feel like it might be my job to finally shut this big gobshite up. All he does is run around, running his mouth, beating his chest, the ultimate man and all that bollocks. So John, for one final time, listen to me so it goes into that thick skull. I accept your challenge, but know one thing. When that first bell goes, I'm going to come over to your corner and absolutely stick it on you, cobra style, and set about you and make a mess of you. You know why? Because you're a bully and you need putting in your place. You're a bully and you're making a mockery of this sport, professional boxing.
You have it there. Wow, he's not mincing his words there, is he?
It's completely spot on. He's completely spot on. And
there's no lies detected, by the way.
Look, I know there's weight classes for a reason, right? But hear me out. But there's world-class fighters for a reason, right? And the bottom line is, Carl Froch has lived in the gym since he's retired. Lived in the gym, and behind the rumor scenes, he's been doing a bit of extra training because he had his eye on that potential that Darren Till fight, right? So he's going to be razor sharp, and we're talking a 60-year-old man. Yeah, I know he goes out on runs with his son and he eats a steak. I don't need anything else but a steak. right? He needs that's what he needs in his life. And then Carl Froch is going to, if it happened, and I don't want it to happen, by the way, I don't want it to happen. I hope it goes away. I hope it goes away because I think if we as people that love this sport and we're talking about legends that have defied the odds, if we genuinely are excited to see Carl Froch stick it on, a 60-year-old failed boxer that's 10 years of his life in prison, right? He's had 10 years of his life taken away from him. And I know people get into different scrapes. I'm not going at him for that. But the bottom line is you're talking about a trained Hall of Fame fighter that has been out the ring that would annihilate him. And that to me, I mean, I suppose it goes down the likes of me saying, well, I enjoyed watching AJ break Jake Paul's jaw, but I think that's a little bit different to this one because there's some serious things that Tyson's dad could have a heart attack here. He could have a heart attack, and then that'll be the end of all this misfit stuff. It'll never happen again because that'll be the end of it.
You mentioned that John Fury had apologized. We've seen it on X. He did look genuinely apologetic about Steve Bunce, which I was glad to see at least from it. However, he mentioned that he was in a particular place where he didn't know where he was. That's disturbing in itself because I've worked in mental health.
Yeah,
and I think John needs a chat to sit down and chat with somebody about his anger. Because there's one thing manipulating a situation. There's another thing when you go off in a tangent that you can't come out of. So he's identified a situation to manipulate. He's gone off in a tangent for social media purposes, but it's got out of control. And he couldn't control the back to reality part of it, even when come up against old friends like Steve Bunce, who's done nothing but say good things about the Furies over the years. He couldn't recognize the man. That tells me he's got some serious problems. Can we cut him some slack on that part?
Not for me. Sorry. And I know you've just summed it up beautifully. And apologies to a trained person like yourself that's been involved in the trade of mental health. So I'm not diminishing anybody's mental health. We do a mental health Monday podcast, so we very much understand it. I'm telling you right now, his rage would have stopped the moment he walked around the corner, and even Don Charles was there. Even he walked around the corner and Don Charles was there. You think he's going to rear up at Don Charles? Because Don Charles was going to say, "Who are you talking to?" Like he knew what he was doing. It's the same as what he knew when he was Usyk's smaller team. And Usyk's team are very classy, very passive, very like, we just do it in the ring, right? He didn't do it in Dylan White's camp. That's when he could have done it. He could have kicked off in Dylan White's camp. Dylan White's an animal, but he didn't. And he's chose to do it. He's chose to do it with the YouTube crowd because he knows he's in his world there. He knows no one's going to tackle him. And look, he does look frightening. He does look scary. If you didn't know he probably could kick the arse out of a lot of people. He looks like he's game. He looks like he's ready, and he looks like he's ready to go. But it's what Carl
looks slow as fuck to me, and I'm 2 years younger than him. But he looks slow as fuck to me.
It's exactly what Carl said. He's doing it in the wrong setting. He's making a mockery of boxing, right? And it's not the misfits. Do the misfits thing. Sell the numbers. The Sauerland family would love it if he was running around doing that. But even Frank's interviewed him. I don't want to talk about it. Well, no, Frank, I bet you're loving it because he's selling he said he's not selling nothing for me. Tyson and his team are their own entities. This is not. I don't want to talk about it. The people in the know, the actual know, don't want to talk it. And if you see like the professionals, I've seen a few interviews. They just shake their heads in disbelief. And we'll see where this call out goes and this acceptance goes. But I think Netflix have got to have a little bit of class here and not put this fight on. I don't want it on.
Yeah, I mean, John seemed to indicate that this was a Netflix sort of ridden or agenda. I don't know. But look, you hit the nail on the head for me, you know. And that's why I laugh, because to give him, try and give him an option, like, you know, he's suffering from mental health. The signs were there that looks like he's either a very, very good actor, right?
Yeah.
And which we can go back to the social media thing with Tommy, that he's bringing this WWE type. Remember when Tyson Fury was over in America and they were talking about WWE contracts?
Yeah.
And they're witnessing all this showboatedness, American style, misfit style. John Fury's tried to bring that to professional boxing, and he's just met with disgust. You know, and we don't want it. It's nasty. It's classless. It's, you know, it's crass.
Yeah,
it really is what he brings to the audience. This is not the similar audience to, you know, WWE. You don't have fans coming out of fans in the like, you know, Hulk style. It doesn't happen like that. The fans come out, they're respectful, you know, want autographs and pictures. But he thinks to bring that drama is going to sell fights. And you're quite right, Queensbury are even embarrassed by him.
Frank, Queensbury, Frank's pulled himself away. So it's not my promotion, it's the ring promotion.
Exactly.
And I'm exclusive with
it's
the
their
zone.
problem.
Yeah, so I don't think Frank could stop him either. And somebody said he'd probably show Frank a little bit more respect and maybe not play up as much because he's gone down, like you said, he's gone down the Netflix route. But to kind of finish this off, because we could probably debate all day because I'm a little bit hot under the collar with it, is that I also think it's everything what you said. Of course, there's a little bit of there's definitely mental health there, for sure there is. But I think the mental health comes from the fact that he's got two kids that have really catapulted themselves in their life, right? Tommy, for whatever reasons, for the YouTube world, I think Tommy has gone that way, and he's made a lot of money out of it. And then you've got Tyson, who is considered, you know, by many, certainly his fan base, as the best British fighter of all time. That's what Tyson's fans would say, right? And we've had those conversations with them, that he is the best thing since Muhammad Ali, right? So his dad is, I think, on these platforms, mate, what he's trying to do is like, wow, the eyes are on me today. Let them know about John Fury. I might not be the boxer, but I'm the fighting man. I'm the one in this family, and anyone that wants it can have it. And I totally think it's so that he can sit at the head of the dinner table on Christmas Day and say, yeah, you'd all be nothing without me. I genuinely feel like, and I've mentioned it a few times now, he's narcissistic. He's one of the most narcissistic people you'll ever see. To not sit back and just be in awe of his 6'6" unbelievable fighter that he's created, and just be like, no, I'm here for Tyson. No, I'm here for Tyson. No, I'm here for Tyson. Hey, Carl, can we have a chat? Do you know what I mean? But anyway, that's probably
absolutely correct. Yeah, and you 100%. I was mesmerized there by, you know, how true that was, because whilst you were talking, I'm reliving like the videos, you know, in your memory banks that come back to you, the images and that. And yes, he has ridden off the back of his son's success, and so much to the point of trying to create a sort of branched identity, the ultimate male, the fighting man.
Yeah,
you know, not anything else, but you know, the world champion's father, as you quite rightly said.
Yeah,
I'm here for my son. I'm here for my son. He could have just took that role like a gentleman. I said, well, he was much better than me, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe he wouldn't be getting channels like Red Corner Boxing, getting 500,000 views. And the fact that Henry Akinwande put him on his ass and put him on out cold. It's not our fault. We'll take it. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
Bumps up our numbers. Long live John Fury, mate. As far as I'm concerned.
Hey, listen.
And,
while he's about, you know me, boys. Jump me on for a rant. I'm game for a rant.
Exactly.
And I tell you now.
Exactly.
So you know why and it's complete. It's probably like he would say it as well. I'm a fair man. If he came out and did a proper public apology and said, I am struggling with mental health. I'm going to take some time away. I'm going to be while Tyson does his camp. And he was at his fight and he was very complimentary to Matt Madoff and whatever. You'd have a different response from me. I'm not just going at him because he's Tyson Fury's dad. I'm going at him because I think it's an absolute disgrace of the way he conducts himself and that he can't be a proud dad. That's why I'm going at him. If he was to change it, if he was to be a bit more humble, he had a few years where he was a bit humble when BT was giving him a bit of work, but he's lost it all now because what he wants to do is he wants to be the circus master, and that's what he's become, the circus master.
Absolutely, 100% agree. He's like the circus announcer in the arena with the top hat to tell you what's coming first. But look, Brett, episode 5, another great episode. Carl Froch, Lucian Bute, and then part 2 was the fallout of the press conference between John Fury and Carl Froch. This program is sponsored by Easy Storage and Boxing Fight Zone. Look out for episode 6 coming your way next week. And if you're new to Red Corner Boxing, please give us a like and subscribe. Help the channel grow so we can give you fabulous content just like this with myself and my good friend there. There he is, the boxing man, aka Brett. The man from Nottingham. He's got such a great knowledge, bankable knowledge base of boxing. Mate, we're going to be back next week. So join us tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, for the preview show of all this weekend's action. That'll be at 7 p.m. tomorrow night with myself and Jams. And then no doubt on Saturday, there'll be watch-alongs galore. So make sure you join us then here at Red Corner Boxing. And we thank you all. So for myself and the boxing man, Defying the Odds, we'll be back next week. See you then. Protect yourself.
I'm moving. I'm going. I can't stop. I got motion. I'm